Hello folks, this is the mighty Talkeetna River. At over 300 miles long, it is one of Alaska's principal rivers, and it's the main river of south central Alaska. Now right nearby, you might find in the distance the confluence of this Talkeetna River and the, at the point, larger Talkeetna River, which when combined makes a much larger Talkeetna River. Also nearby is the Talkeetna River, for which today's location is named. Now at the confluence of all these three rivers, you might find, okay, this is just a regular forest, but in recent history, definitely recent to the world, humans have set up shop here, and they've created a nice little haven in the middle of the Alaskan wilderness. Now as these glimmering waters travel such a long distance from its source in the Alaskan range, all the way down, it'll reach the Cook Inlet, which is sort of nearby where Anchorage was. Eventually it will empty out into the North Pacific Ocean. These waters have really carved throughout geologic history a great valley, and trees and animals were the first ones to inhabit this area, but then people came along. Relatively recent to the Earth's lifetime. And they set up shop here from the beginning of the 1900s. The Americans then set up their shop, replacing what was once Denali settlements, and today it exists as sort of like this forest haven among the wilderness and nature that I think is definitely worth a visit. That's why I stopped here. I got off the Alaska Railroad yesterday because it's an interesting place. Talkeetna is by no means a major city like Anchorage was, but it does tell the story of the frontier lifestyle out here in Alaska. Is it reminiscent still of what frontier Alaskan culture is, or has it turned into another big tourist stop? That's what we're going to be exploring today in Talkeetna, Alaska. Well, as much as we did see in that opening montage, that's pretty much it to Talkeetna. It's just a small little village, and of course, it's nice to have a quaint little area to call yourself home. But that's it. Out here, you have to have a practical purpose for setting up buildings and setting up a neighborhood. It either has to have a, an economic reason, or it's got to be geographically welcoming, with the mosquitoes all around us, and with most of the year having a blanket of snow on it. Talkeetna is not the most welcoming geographically. However, this place did serve back in 1916 as a stop for the Alaska Railroad. Yeah, that's what Talkeetna was formed to be, just to stop along the grand route of this railway. It makes sense. We're about halfway, generally, between Anchorage and Denali. The population slowly grew, slow and steady, but in recent years, with the advent of global tourism to Alaska, the population has increased to meet the demands of the tourism industry. More people live here now than ever before. And today, a good 1,000 people live year-round, permanently, here in Talkeetna. I've got to say, props goes to all of you who do live the whole year in Talkeetna, Alaska, braving the hazardous, brutal conditions of an Alaska winter here in these boreal, subarctic, taiga landscapes. So that in the summertime, those of us who are not from this area can have a good time here when it is warm enough. Hey, yeah, have you noticed that? It's actually warm. I'm wearing a t-shirt, whereas when we were back in Seward, it's a little bit more south than right here. You really had to layer up. But right here, very inland, actually not very relative. You look at Talkeetna on a map and we're actually pretty close to Anchorage. It's a huge state. But we're a little more inland so that temperatures can vary with a more extreme degree. Lots and lots of bush plains here in Alaska. It's a solid way to get around when everything else is sort of just a dense, thick forest. Sure, the railroads will service you, but on a very limited basis. And cars are very expensive. Gas is gonna take a toll on your paycheck, your wallet. If you do want to get places, especially from here in Talkeetna, where you can have a guide take you on plane tours, there's such thing as an air taxi here in Alaska. You can do that. You can go to the vast frontier, the vast wilderness of Alaska. Now, for a small town, it's just so surprising to me how many cars are here, how big the congestion can be. Like right now, you may not think of it, but it's like 7 p.m. I started here around 6:30 this video, and it's just as busy as it would be midday. I thought waiting till the end of the day would help, but you know, we're still seeing lots of people. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. Air taxis that can take you up in these little bush plains, up in the air, and allow you to see the Alaskan landscape from above like you've never seen before. They're all over the place, not just Talkeetna, but any little small town. Now, between all the log cabin-esque buildings here, dirt roads most of the time, sometimes you'll see an ATV or so rolling by as you walk down these roads, if you want to call them roads. Through all of that, you're led to believe that the frontier way of life still persists, and that's very much true. But that's also in tandem with another element. So with the dawn of modern tourism culture, like many cities across the US, the character of these such cities and towns and villages are going to be completely changed and altered, unrecognizable from before the dawn of the tourism industry that we see today. So you're going to see in Talkeetna lots of these weird hippy-dippy shops. So we see in front of us a village arts and crafts store. How quaint. And then here we have a place called Conscious Coffee. Now, don't tell me that doesn't scream hippy-dippy West Coast town. They actually sell some pretty good stuff. I had a bagel here yesterday. You know, I just don't get this. It's about 7:30 right now, and there's still cars moving along as if it's the middle of the day. And there's only so many hotels. Very few in this area. This is literally just a village. And yet, you know, the atmosphere is still lively here. Talkeetna, Alaska is really an interesting little village. It's a village that combines various cultural elements seen in different parts of the country. I mean, you have characteristics of a progressive, influential, urbanite city just transplanted to the vast forests of this state. Thousands of miles from the nearest major city outside of Alaska.
And then you just boil it for 5
Be responsible with alcohol, but when in moderation, celebrate, live a little.
A lot of people eating halibut tacos over there. Yeah?
Best thing I ever had in a world gone mad. Oh, so bad.
Can I get some salmon cakes? Sure. Great. You know, seafood's such a staple here in Alaska. I was trying to figure out where along the trip I could get some actual nice seafood. Specifically salmon, because it's abundant in these areas. Rivers, bays, you can get salmon a lot of places. Luckily, there was a cheap option. Salmon's pretty expensive like all seafood around here. No matter how common seafood might be, for some reason it's always going to be expensive. But for $6 I got these nice salmon cakes, and I guess that counts for our salmon experience. Oh yeah, don't you feel like a true Alaskan eating some of this nice Alaskan salmon? Oh yeah, really hits the spot. Well, whatever you guys think of Talkeetna, whatever conclusion you came to, whether it's a frontier town, whether it's a modern, well, definitely not a modern, I mean, look at this place. No skyscrapers, maybe that's a good thing. Everything's local. Everything just seems very quaint and humble. But whether it has the character of like a modern urbanite West Coast city, or just, you know, a small little town that caters to tourists from around the world, Talkeetna is here to stay. Before I say goodnight to you all, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Mile High Pizza Pie restaurant and bar, because I asked for one slice of pizza, meatballs and anchovies on it. What do? They had an extra pizza made by accident, so they gave me the entire pie. How nice of them. For the price of a slice, I got the Coverage Project special meatballs and anchovies on a pizza, and it looks really nice. It's locally made. I gotta shut the box down to make sure mosquitoes don't eat it before I do. But there we are, continuing strong with our second to last frontier tour, adding Talkeetna, Alaska to the vast collection of places we have gone to on the Coverage Project. We're well on our way through understanding what Alaska's truly all about. And tomorrow, well, won't be any major thing. I'm actually traveling on the train again on the Alaska Railroad once more. But our next location, the day after, will be someplace very, very special. Goodness gracious, would these mosquitoes just leave me alone for a few minutes? Yeah, I don't know what to say. Aside from the mosquitoes, this place is just spectacular. Great music, great social atmosphere. It seems as though if you travel up here, if you make the journey, you will be rewarded with some great fun. Just pack some bug spray is all I ask. That's it. You'll have fun. Just deal with the mosquitoes in your own fashion. So until then, enjoying the cultural ambiance of Talkeetna, Alaska, the last frontier's favorite forest abode, about to enjoy this feast, which will probably counterbalance the amount of alcohol I've had in my system by now this late. Enjoying the non-existent sunset that should be upon us, but since we're at like 62 degrees latitude, doesn't exist right now here. More travels to come. I will see you at the next location. Goodness gracious, mosquitoes, leave me alone.